That's pass protection. Unsung soldiers of the successful pass play are the pass blockers. Football is a game of aggression and forward movement, but the pass blocker is called upon to perform a maneuver that contains a contradiction. The pass blocker must be aggressive, and yet he must retreat. Hit and retreat, hit and retreat, hit and retreat, and it is not easy. The rewards are great when the pass blocking is properly executed. Like so many of our running plays, our pass protection, the type of pass protection that we use is based upon whether the line is even or odd. And what we mean by that, on an even man set, we mean that the two offensive guards are covered. There are two linemen over the offensive guards, and the center is uncovered by a lineman. And in an odd man situation, it means that the center is covered by a lineman that's right on his head. That's what we mean by even and odd, so we can get that understood. Well, to start with the tackles, the first thing they must know whether it's even or odd. This is true of everybody, and we usually call that inside. Even, odd, the center will call that particular blocking. And the tackles rule is man over him, none first man to the outside on an even setup. And that same rule holds true, by the way, on an odd. Man over him, none first lineman to their outside. So both the tackles are on the defensive ends, as we call them, or on these two particular men as we point them out here. The guards, on an even setup, the man over them. On an odd setup, the first man to their outside, none, as this guard has. He has no man over him, no lineman over him. There's nobody to his outside. Middle linebacker, wherever he goes. If that middle linebacker were to blitz in here, he'd have to come over here and get him. If the middle linebacker were to blitz out here, he'd have to come out here to get him. If the middle linebacker were to blitz directly over him, he would take him. If he did not blitz but went back on a pass, he would be a fill man, and he would help anywhere that he possibly could. Anyone that broke away from any one of the other blocks, he would be in position to help them. The center, on an odd man setup as here, he has the man over him. On an even setup here, when he doesn't have a man over him, he is responsible for the middle linebacker on a blitz. If the middle linebacker with a blitz here, he's got to move out to take him. Blitz out here, he'd have to move out to take him. Over him, he would take him. If the middle linebacker went back in the pass, he would set and fill. The same rule is applied to the guard who was uncovered. He would fill and help any place that he could. Anyone that broke away, he'd be out there to help. I think it's important to realize that the uncovered man, the uncovered lineman, is the fill man. We call this man uncovered, he's the fill man. In this particular case, the center is uncovered, therefore he's the fill man. The two remaining backs, they block on the outside linebackers if they come. The strong side linebacker or the weak side linebacker, if they come, they take a position. So actually, if the middleman did not come and neither one of the linebackers came, we would have a secondary line of defense composed of the center and the two backs who would form a perimeter like this. And, of course, your first perimeter would be your four offensive linemen.
Go, Bob, run it out. Come on, John.
In discussing those linemen and their pass blocking responsibility, let's begin with the tackles. Of all the pass blockers, the tackles are responsible for the most territory, and therefore must be extremely mobile and agile on those pumping feet. When the tackle comes off the line, he must open up and square away so that he is looking at his opponent with his head lined up right in the middle of that man, concentrating on his belt buckle. On contact, he brings his arms and shoulders up to force his opponent's hands away from his jersey and shoulder pads. He hits and retreats, keeping his pumping action up and never allowing the man to get a hold on him. Here it is again, the tackle shuffle, with the tackle centering on his man. Arms up, the hit and retreat, giving ground grudgingly, wheeling the man out. Note here how the blocker is in a shell, the football position, from which he explodes outward with his arms, always staying between his man and the passer as he wheels him by. Observe in a game now how the tackle centers on his man, picks him up, hits, keeps those feet moving, takes the man in the direction he wants to go, and out of range. And again, you see the result of good pass blocking. This is the tackle shuffle. Watch 76 in white. On an inside charge by his opponent, the set by the blocker is the same. And as the defensive man moves to the inside, the blocker goes with the move. He drives his head into the man's chest and pinches him with the outside shoulder. Then drives him down the line. Remember, on the inside move by the defensive man, the blocker must get his head in front of the rusher and pinch him with the outside shoulder. In game action, the tackle gets his head in front of the rusher and takes him down a line into the pileup.
Run it out. Come on, John. Let's go, Bob. Run it out.
Compared with the tackles, the guard's area of responsibility is not as great. But because he battles in such close quarters, it is even more of a head-on street fight. Again, the blocker must hit and retreat, hit and retreat, hit and retreat. He gives ground even more grudgingly than the tackle. And again, everything starts with the feet. In that retreat, the blocker must keep those feet moving. He must never be caught flat-footed. As with the tackle, when the guard comes off the ball, he sets to the inside, feet pumping, giving the pass rusher only one way to go. The blocker must keep his eyes right on the opponent's belt buckle. On contact, he explodes, arms and shoulders up, head driving into the numbers, feet continuously pumping. The pass blocker, whoever he is, must never give up the inside route, because that's the shortest way to the quarterback. A second type of pass block that the guards must master, and one that is very effective against an extremely aggressive opponent who prefers a strong head-on charge, is the cut block. The guard explodes with his head into his opponent's numbers. Sets. With his forearms, he breaks the hold, and then he throws his head and shoulders across the legs of the driving opponent.
Let's go, Bob. Run it out.
Come on, John.
Here the importance of the center's pass blocking can be seen. As the quarterback retreats into the pocket, the center, number 57, is already in combat with the man over him. When the man tries to go around the center goes with him, wheeling his man past the quarterback. As we know, against an odd man line, the center will have a man over him, so his technique for pass blocking differs in this situation. Because he has to make the snap to the quarterback, and it would be awkward for him to make that snap and drop back, the center uses an aggressive technique. As he centers the ball, he drives out at the man over him, and then rising with his man, hits and retreats, hits and retreats. As we saw at the blackboard, against an even defense, when the center has no one over him, his responsibility is to act as the fill man and to pick up any blitzing linebacker. In this case, the middle linebacker. When he picks him up, his technique is the same as that of any pass blocker. That middle linebacker will be coming like a runaway freight, so the center must be poised, hit hard, and give ground grudgingly, just like everyone else. That linebacker, of course, doesn't always come at the center head-on. He may have a deal with one of his interior linemen in which, as here, the tackle takes the inside rush and the middle linebacker goes to the outside. This is intended to disrupt the offensive blocking. If the center does not spot this and retreat quickly, the blitzing maneuver may well succeed. To sum up, offensive tackle. Keep those legs pumping and feet moving. Everything starts with the feet. Drive the helmet into the numbers. Bring the arms and shoulders up and break that hold. Wheel that man to the outside and beyond the quarterback. On an inside rush, get the helmet in front. Pinch with the outside shoulder and drive him down the line. To sum up, the guards, keep those feet moving, never be caught flat-footed. A guard's battle is man-to-man. It's you against him. Drive that helmet in. Hit and retreat. Hit and retreat. And never give up that inside route to the quarterback. To sum up, the center, against an odd man line and with a man over you, first slam that man, then pass block. Against an even defense, with no one over him, the center becomes a fill man. He picks up a blitzer. None, he area blocks. What we have just discussed was a three-man pass pattern. In other words, where only the two ends or the three ends were out on the pass. The flanker, the XN, and the YN. Now, not all passes are the same. Many times we send out a fourth man. In this particular case, let's talk about the fullback going out into the pattern, where the fullback moves out into the pattern, either in a flare operation or a circle operation or whatever. I think it's significant to understand that all of the linemen have the same blocking responsibility as they had in the three-man pass. It doesn't change. And I might say here, the simplest way we could present this to the team, the better. And the less change we have to make, the better. Once they absorb something for the first time, and if we keep it the same way, it's a much better way of, I think, of them of doing the job. But we have to send a fullback out for many reasons, which we'll discuss at a later date in the passing game. But when the fullback is out, everybody else remains the same. In other words, the center's rule is the same, the guard's rule is the same, the uncovered man is the fill man the same way, the offensive guards have the same rules, the tackles have the same rule, the remaining back, he still has the same rule where he has the weak side linebacker if he comes. Now the fullback is out, and if this man were to blitz, you would say right now, who's to take him? Well, we use what we call a check release. A check release by the fullback. It's just a momentary check. It just takes a fraction of a second to realize, for this man to realize that this man is going to come or he's not going to come. In order to be a good blitzer, he's got to come right on a snap of the ball. Well, this man knows that. So if he doesn't come on a snap of the ball, he runs his route. For example, what we call a fan circle in here, or a fan flat. He checks momentarily. If he comes, he doesn't go out. He takes him if he blitzes. If he drops off in a pass, he runs. You've got to understand the reason we're sending him out. We're sending him out to move that linebacker. That's the reason he's going out in the pass. Either in a flare route, we want that linebacker to go out with him. On a circle route, we want the linebacker to cover him. Well, if he blitzes, he's taken himself out of the pass defense, and therefore there's no reason for him to go out, so he stays in and blocks him. Here the fullback starts out on a fan pass. When he sees the outside linebacker blitzing, he breaks off his route and picks up the blitzer. There are times when we send both of the remaining backs out in a pass pattern. Well, the same pass blocking rules apply to the linemen. Exactly. The same rules as for the three-man pass, same rules for the fan pass. One little change. The uncovered man, which in the odd line would be one of the guards, is now responsible for the weak side linebacker. And the even man setup, the uncovered man would be the center. He would be responsible for the weak side linebacker. Or another way of doing it is to block the center weak to here and pull the guard out for the weak side linebacker. Any one of those two ways works very, very well. But when both backs are out, the fullback has the same rule. He's still responsible for this man if he blitzes. If he doesn't blitz, he's out in the pattern. The weak side back, the halfback in this case, regardless of whether he blitzes or not, he's out in the pattern. That's a must. He must come out of there with speed because many of his routes are long routes down the field. This is the speed burner in most pro passing attacks, or most passing attacks. This is a good receiver. Therefore, we want him out right now. The one man that's not covered, if you'll notice, is the middle linebacker. What happens to him if he were to blitz? If he were to blitz, what happens to the passer? Well, it's obvious, of course, that the pass is going to get knocked down by the middle linebacker. So we cover that by always releasing the YN, the tight end. When both of these backs are out on the pattern, we always release the tight end to the inside, looking right now for the ball. He's also key in the middle linebacker. If the middle linebacker blitzes, he knows he's going to get the ball right now. The quarterback also keys the middle linebacker. On this type of a pass, which we call a backs divide pass, the middle linebacker blitzes, the quarterback unloads the ball right now to the YN. As those backs go out, the quarterback keys the middle linebacker. Since that man does not blitz, the quarterback continues his drop. With excellent protection, the backs divide pattern works perfectly. Here's another game illustration. Note how the pass pocket forms perfectly. The center as fill man is looking for someone to pick up. The quarterback has plenty of time to find his receiver. The halfback, who is circled out of the backfield, makes the catch and takes it the rest of the way. Protecting the passer in play pass action, that is where we're faking a run and then throwing. The faking back, or the back who fakes into the middle, and we always have one faking into the middle, is responsible for the middle linebacker. It's of primary importance, or first, the important thing for the faking back to remember is that he must get the middle linebacker if he blitzes. The fake is secondary as far as this action is concerned. For example, either on a draw fake or any other kind of a fake where the fullback in this case is faking into the middle, his first responsibility is the middle linebacker. If that middle linebacker were to blitz, he'd have to take him. If the middle linebacker were to blitz over there, he'd have to break off his fake and get him. If the middle linebacker were to blitz over here, he'd have to get over here to get him. That's his responsibility. The back who's faking across is responsible for the strong side linebacker if he were to blitz. Usually if he's coming across and he's blitzing, the fake alone will stop him and he'll go out to cover him. One of these two linemen is responsible for the weak side linebacker. It could be the center who's coming out, or it could be the center blocking back and the guard coming out. Either way is excellent. That's play pass blocking. The other lineman, same rule as they had for the three-man pass blocking. Same rule, odd and even, exactly the same. One thing you should remember, to the side, it's more of an aggressive block. They fire out and then drop back. The same thing is true here. Fire out and then drop back. Of course, these two men, this particular man who is pulling out, must show pass right away, but that's immaterial because usually in most play pass action, it's coming back to the outsides. The pass is being thrown here or here rather than any other place where it would affect these linebackers who are keying on this man. The play-action pass is particularly effective in first down and short-yardage situations where the defense would logically expect a run. Note here how the play is concealed by the lineman driving out and by the quarterback's fake to the back. Also note the block on the blitzing linebacker by the faking back. Another short yardage situation, this time on a third down when the defense must honor the threat of the run. Up to now, in discussing pass blocking, we have assumed that the defensive lineman would rush the passer in a normal manner, in a straight manner. Tackles over the guards, ends over the tackles, in that particular way. However, there are other methods, other effective means of rushing the passer, usually used to confuse the blocking pattern or the blocking technique of the offensive line. I am referring particularly to twists. Twists in which the defensive tackle and the defensive end work as a unit. One of those twists is what we refer to as a tackle-first twist. I mean by that the defensive tackle is the first one to show, the defensive tackle is the first one to penetrate, with the defensive end, the two-man here, looping quickly behind that charge and rushing the passer up the middle. In that particular type of twist, the tackle, in setting, since he does set deep, sees that loop and can come behind the offensive guard's block to pick up the end as he rushes up the middle. This still is a man-to-man setup. I mean by that, again, it's guard on tackle and end on and tackle on end. In the other twist, which we refer to as a end-first twist, and again I mean by that the end is the first one to show and the first one to penetrate. This poses a different problem. Since he penetrates to the inside and the offensive tackle in setting deep cannot get back to him quick enough, and as is deep, as this man loops behind the end and as this man sets, you usually have a collision course here if they try to stay man-to-man. So in this particular twist, we area block or we switch block. And I mean by that, as he sets and he sees this man go to the inside, he looks for the tackle coming around and holds his position. The guard, when this man drops off the line, there's nothing for him to do anyway. And as he sets, of course, it's a simple matter for him to pick up the defensive end as he comes inside. There are two twists again. Tackle first twist, penetrate, the end looping behind, in which we block man-to-man or stay man-to-man, and the other twist in which the defensive end comes first. The defensive end is the first one to penetrate with the defensive tackle looping behind him. In this one, we area block or we switch block. None of these twists are particularly effective of themselves. However, when the twists are coordinated with a blitz, they pose another problem. For example, on the twist, the tackle first twist, with the tackle going first and the end coming looping up the center, the center, if he has no one over him, is the fill man, so he's in position to help on the end coming up the center. However, with the blitz, the middle linebacker, for example, blitzing over here, which would pull the center over here to pick him up. Now, unless the end, a tackle, can get over here to pick up the end on the blitz up the middle, the defensive end will really have a free run at the quarterback. Whether it's a normal charge or a more sophisticated maneuver, it is still the pass blocking that makes the passing game go.